do you think raised you, huh?
So thank you for everything.
Good girl, Mitsuru.
Happy New Year, gamers! Good to see ya. I hope the new year has been filled with happiness so far, and to build on that, we are celebrating the top 11 social links in Persona 3 Reload. Please like and subscribe if any of this gives you any insights or entertainment value, and be sure to comment, even if my rankings make me look like a fool. The Fool Social Link highlights the major milestones in the story. It deserves to be in the top half for that fact alone. You go from the basics of the basics, understanding the logistics of the Dark Hour and the general goal, and the widespread consequences of apathy syndrome, shadows, persona users, and evokers, which are never really explained well, to be honest. But I digress. The effects of Tartarus weigh on you and your friends as you struggle to adjust to this insane midnight hour. And the first adrenaline-pumping, exciting mission pushes your bonds to the next level after you survive both Junpei's childish arrogance and a time trial encounter with this disturbingly designed monstrosity. Even the attempted seduction using primal urge feelings from the Lover's Arcana fails to halt your progress as you liberate that sleazy hotel whilst attracting unwanted attention. You prevail over the evil Junpei at the beach. Or, you know, you just bond over finally being able to relax for a change. Mitsuru becomes vulnerable, explaining her childhood persona awakening and regretting getting the party involved. But they're all on the same page and rooting for each other on the eve of the final full moon shadow. And after vanquishing the Hanged Man Arcana, you partake in what you think is going to be the ultimate celebration. So you get this flawless image for posterity. But soon after, tragedy strikes with Chidori's sacrifice that only had to be done because of Strega's intense hatred and sadness as they wait for everyone to perish, bringing forth moments of sadness and hope back to back as the tumultuous emotional ride seemingly knows no end. In the aftermath, you are given the remnants of a passionate girl's talents lost far too soon, and the resolve to continue to fight returns, before finally coming to a head when you're told of an omnipotent entity that has arrived to deliver upon mankind the bleak, empty end that apparently many had been wishing for, which makes you steel yourself once again as you head into a rushed final month of training, trepidation, and anxiety before the fall. There's tons of revelations, a roller coaster of emotions, and suitably motivational moments in the Fool Link that encourage you to keep playing. However, because you're more of a passive player in this, even the protagonist doesn't have a lot of agency in how all this develops, I can't rank it any higher than 11th. Still, it's a testament to the quality of Persona 3's story that a passenger-based, automatic social link can be ranked this high. Oh, and curious to note, this is the only social link, other than death, to skip a level. In this case, rank 8 is not a thing. This is even weirder than death. I'm sure there's other significant moments they probably could have used as a talking point. Damn. Was this not a big dramatic plot moment that would have banded the team together? It just seems shocking that they didn't include this moment as one of the growth levels. Well, anyway, we're headed into the top 10. Let the outrage commence! Stupid dumbass! Doesn't know jack about Persona! Ooh, boy, yeah. I'm gonna get some disagreements on this one. I have a feeling that Mitsuru is extremely highly regarded, not just in the Persona 3 cast, but across the entire mainstream series. Hey, she's in the top 10. Don't hate on me too much. The link starts so slowly. Like, glacial. Yeah, I know, she's not easy to approach. We get plenty of evidence of that. But, I mean, the first 3 levels of this is silently eating at various restaurants, while Mitsuru rants on about the etiquette of slurping noodles, or showing shock at how she can't pay with her credit cards, or how anyone could just dare pick up food with their bare hands before ingesting it. There's no surprises here. It's made clear early and often that Mitsuru comes from the wealthiest of wealthy families.
Who do you think I am?
And since you can't start the link until the game's more than half over, players are given what they've already suspected to be true, having gotten to know Mitsuru over the course of the story. She doesn't know much about commoners' lives. It's very unoriginal. There's some sweet moments of genuine thanks from Mitsuru, but she gives out genuine compliments like this during the story beats too.
You were able to remain calm during the enemy's mental assault.
And then you go to the theater.
Purchase a ticket at the window and then walk in to enjoy a film. I've always wanted to try the whole theater experience.
Come on. She hasn't even done that? You'd think she would have been to like a ritzy theatrical opening or advanced screening of some major blockbuster with her connections. The good news is that Mitsuru's conversations do get more interesting as you press on, as she weighs her absolutely intimidating future responsibilities right out in front of the protagonist, including a potentially heartless version of marriage, or that depressing outlook on what one loses once entering into that lifelong commitment.
I wonder if that means the most exciting time in one's life comes prior to the wedding.
It's cute hearing Mitsuru's resolve falter, too, as she talks to the protagonist about her impending decision to marry. But we all know the biggest scene in the social link. I agree with popular opinion that this is the holy crap moment, when Mitsuru basically confesses her love for the protagonist. Enhanced by the amazing voice acting, it's a huge standout, and that's including all 21 other links.
I want to be with him, now and forever.
But if you stop and dissect the parts, it loses some of its appeal. For me, at least. First of all, this is so out of character. Just days before, she was thinly veiling her affections, clearly too timid to bring up this reality. Now she's just, I love you! Also, the arranged fiancé is so cliché. I mean, of course he's 30-something years old. Of course he's got absolutely no positive qualities and is a total loser. And of course he has a voice that makes you cringe.
Ah, there you are. Hey, Mitsuru!
And obviously he's going to besmirch the legacy of Mitsuru's late father. Oh my god. Oh, this is awful. All that's missing is a really pompous comment like, oh, you're a commoner, and thus you know nothing.
Commoner like you isn't even fit to breathe the same air.
Oh Lord, of course it's there. What? This guy is like the most cliched cliché to ever cliché. If you were Mitsuru, there wouldn't be any deliberation at all. You just dump this asshole like the plague after hearing the first entitled comment he blurts out.
Good girl, Mitsuru.
You wouldn't even made tentative business arrangements in the first place. Because after all, this guy just seems like a really whiny coward who—
Grandpa! Grandpa!
Like that. I know this is a big moment in the social link, but the combination of Mitsuru's complete personality change and the scripted appearance of this utterly awful, cliched, spoiled brat is just not believable in any way, shape, or form. It still belongs in the top 10 though, because despite her being inexperienced in romance
just isn't my strong suit.
Mitsuru musters up enough courage to, much more realistically, try and spell out the feelings she has for the hero. This is what keeps the social link in my good graces. It's awkward. She stumbles.
Here goes. I love you.
But she's honest and in tune with herself. She even uses her presidential power to give you this one-on-one time at the rooftop. Mitsuru recovers so swiftly, knowing she can't make the new developments public. But be damned if she isn't serious about it, making her ending scene all the more heartbreaking.
I need you in my life.
Now that is Mitsuru. Top 10? Absolutely. I just think there's 9 social links that are crafted with a little more heart. Yukari's link isn't anything special at first. In fact, it's honestly pretty underwhelming. Which goes against the intense plot moments of trauma bonding we experience in the opening hours. She apologizes for comments made at Yakushima, asks you opinions on flower colors, but you can already see the disguised flirting early on.
To be honest, any flowers would be fine if they were from you. Just kidding.
And part of what holds this from being a top-tier link is we see this coming. Regardless of whether these two protagonists hug each other back at Yakushima, it's still a huge character moment and an emotional time for the two, which builds onto the fact that they were both possessed by the Lover's Arcana during the full moon mission. The game kind of artificially gears the player into getting these two together regardless, so there's not as many surprises in store when the romantic tension eventually surfaces. That's what hurts this rank. What's done more creatively though, is how you gradually get a sense of the impact Yukari's mom had on her. Beginning with this chance encounter with a lost child, you understand her short temper and suspicions of people like Mitsuru much better when you take into consideration how loose and unfit her mom became after her dad's tragic death. We learn a lot about Yukari's father, but if you skip this social link, you don't see the meaningful impact the mother makes on her as well. She puts it pretty black and white, and I respect this candid approach.
Running away from your problems by clinging on to others is the worst thing you can do.
The unevenness continues. There's a bit of damsel in distress later on that's a bit too over the top. I know the protagonist is more talented than everyone else on God's green earth, but come on! 3 against 1? Guys who all look bigger than him? This instance is one of the rare times a social link can get reversed too, if you choose the most obviously wrong, sexist dialogue choice in video game history. But it is done in a way that makes sense with Yukari's background. She needed help, hates admitting it, and even if you handle it well, Yukari doesn't. It's awesome that they don't depict Yukari as being flawless and always on an even keel. She loses her temper sometimes. These characters are teenagers, after all. She makes amends soon after, and comes to the realization that she's always pushing people away without realizing it, and so she puts tons of enthusiasm into preparing a getaway lunch. There's also a nice callback to her running away line, as she realizes she has to sit down with her mom to discuss what the future might hold. It comes together fairly well.
I'll try to call you more too, okay? She apologized for everything that's happened.
And the eloquent words she uses to define true love hits you hard. Topping it off, the reaction Yukari has if the protagonist chooses to engage in a romantic relationship is so well earned. You get the sense that she'd hoped this moment would happen ever since Yakushima. And then of course there's this line, which...
They'll hear me if I'm too loud.
Oh man, cliche rom-com cheesiness, but still funny. Hey, if you're still watching after seeing these 2 main female party members land at relatively low-ranked spots, well, that's just plain decent of you. Thanks. Let's press onward and see which of the social links made the top 8. So, I'm old. My prime years were when the original Persona 3 came out. And back in 2006, there were honest-to-God chat rooms with minimum graphics and random geeks who would log on and roleplay, chatting and fighting monsters using pretty much just their imaginations. This nostalgia, admittedly, artificially bumps up the Hermit social link for me. It's wonderfully recreated and realistic, complete with tons of typos and that ancient shorthand keyboard speak like IMO, AFK, and IRL, which at the time seemed like futuristic, hip, and cool ways to talk. Hermit suits Maya so well. She's a total recluse on her days off, yet in reality is an upstanding high school teacher at Gekukan. The whole context is wonderfully shown in some of the hilarious dialogue choices, like "sunshine is overrated." Another cool feature is how the increasing affection as the two talk merges with the medium and how they're interacting, like when she gives the hero a health potion even though he hasn't battled whatsoever. While players may get clued into the Maya character's identity fairly early on, if it takes you a while, you get taken aback by the fact that she was drunk during one of your sessions, and even was passed out at the mall, where she told off President Tanaka of all people.
It's kind of ironic how someone that's a hermit can help someone establish a social connection.
Miss Tsuruyumi's teacher personality comes out even when she's intoxicated, like here, when she's clarifying that irregardless isn't a meaningful word, since it has the same meaning as regardless, or how she gives an A+ in reading comprehension. You see so many adult problems come to the surface here, a woman fearing her inevitable aging and feeling weighed down even more by pressures of her mom trying to force her to get married. She has an irritating Mr. E who chastises her writing and comprehension classes, and a coworker she used to hang out with tons, but now can't stand. So she hate talks her inappropriately and constantly, as if she's back in high school again. And it just builds upon itself as you start feeling sorry for the whole life situation of this woman. Whoa, wait, getting asked out and proposed to? Is this coworker that teacher who's involved with Kenji's whole social link? Ugh, sorry to reference that. That is so awful. Anyway, you can see her rage at her boss as she just slams onto the keyboard's home row. The utter frustration of adulthood is there for the protagonist to see, and although he can't possibly understand it at his age, many adults playing this today who have felt underappreciated can. The humor is on point, merging the MMO's goal of fighting demons from hell with the fact that she may very well go to hell after smack-talking all of these real-life people behind their backs. To top it off, the real-life finality of that RPG shutting down is a shock to Maya, and the very desperate plan she comes up with is alarming in how forthcoming she's being. It's like, here, look at all this slander and flirting these two random people have done over the past year. Save the game! Now, it is kind of predictable how the student she gets a crush on is the protagonist, and man, does that come back to haunt her hardcore when you get to that final day.
It's me, damn it! You got a problem with that?
But this isn't nearly as awful as Kenji, who knows the age difference and knows full well what he's trying to do. Miss Tsuruyumi had no idea. For all she knew, the guy was a middle-aged man. So this last message left in the sand with keystrokes is actually pretty sweet. Just as a capper, this whole link is ripe with Persona 2 references, from the main game being called Innocent Sin, the opening message from Phil, and even the protagonist names from that ancient game, which suddenly make this deja vu line actually make sense. And it looks like they even updated it with a Persona 5 reference to cap it.
Just some useless information that you are never going to use, but hey, it's fun. Number 7. Wholesome. These two are pure souls without any malice in their hearts. The world needs more people like these two.
Even from the outset, this social link wraps its arms around you tight with kindness. Pleasant introductions and manners when asking the protagonist his name, small token foodstuffs like mini grandparents dole out. You immediately want to help them with their persimmon problem as soon as it surfaces. You chuckle with good humor when Mitsuko sends you an amateurish text message that states within it how out of touch she is with technology. But your heart warms knowing that they want to see you again. They're almost always available too. It's almost like they let you decide when you want to visit them, and not the other way around. Like many elders we hold dear, they'll always have time for you. This is made even more impressive considering the lifelong tragedy they've had to endure, having lost a son so long ago and having this haunt them for decades. Even when that topic comes up and they voice their repressed trauma, the granny immediately apologizes to the hero.
I'm sorry for raising my voice. Did I scare you?
And Bunkichi, he apologizes to his wife.
And I forgot to consider how my wife might feel.
They never let any negative emotion overcome them. When the full problem comes into focus, that the tree is going to be cut down, they still insist for you to not make it a priority, and then feel guilty afterwards. But the old man still enjoys cracking bad jokes to keep the mood light.
I wouldn't worry about it. Glad you can joke around even at a time like this.
It's not perfect. For example, it takes a really long time for anything to really happen here.
The sixth link simply states that they accept what's going to happen and are sad. The end.
The rumor about cutting down the persimmon tree was true, so we went to the school together to say our goodbyes.
Also, the protagonist doesn't do anything of consequence. You find out that all the former son's classmates got a petition going to save the tree. The tree is right at the high school. Couldn't the protagonist rally some support around that? And it would have given the link somewhere else to go besides this cramped bookstore. The saddest thing is that they actually think the protagonist started this whole rally cry. And when things are improving, the old dude wants to go see the tree. But you never see this. You just get the most boring text box imaginable. They could have constructed a very touching moment here when both are at the tree itself. It's also super easy to please these two. The game doesn't even present a bad choice. Like this here, would you rather pick, "That's great," or "That's amazing"? "I'm excited," "I'm exhilarated." Still, the ending is so bittersweet. It may almost seem like a pointless social link altogether, to find out everything only to have that tree cut down anyway. But the reference to the son's teaching background wanting to inspire youth as the old couple's reasoning makes a lot of sense. Even if it's still heartbreaking, the fact that they can rest easy knowing there's a new crop of kind, young people waiting in the wings says a lot for the value of this social link.
Helping children reach their potential is more important than clinging on to old memories.
And if you correspond with them on the final day, you feel liberated that everything turned out as well as it could have, with the transplanted tree now overlooking the school.
It's not the most exciting, but the world needs more patience, kindness, humility, and vulnerability. And these two sweethearts teach us why. And that puts them high on my list. And I'm guessing this bookstore couple would be a big fan of the person that's next up. Part of the reason why Fuka is ranked this high is because she keeps a very proud Persona tradition alive. The tradition of female high school students who are unable to successfully cook anything remotely edible. Nah, I'm kidding. But isn't that a fun place to start?
The foreboding dialogue is just priceless. Looks like I have no choice but to eat it. You know what's going down immediately as you read it.
Oh no! What do I do? I'll go get some water.
Next, despite what looks like an improved effort, even a desperately hungry stray cat bolts at the first smell of the bento box. You already feel sorry for Fuka. I mean, my god, she was stuck in Tartarus for over 2 weeks of school time. And now, months later, she finally opens up, and this is how everything starts? And you can be so rude as to suggest feeding it to shadows?
That's harsh. Even by Persona standards.
You sincerely want to root for Fuka. She already has an inferiority complex after all, chastising her own ideas and hopes before they even get going.
And it's not like I have any other redeeming qualities.
Yikes! But when she gets more comfortable, she drops a hint at what she's really good at. Yet, even this, she doesn't let herself approve of, since not many girls share that skill set. Thankfully, the humor of Persona 3 always comes through to keep things from being too bleak. It's over a month later. She's tried so hard to improve, and upon offering the protagonist a rice ball, what he states is, it's edible, at least. Nah, I'm just bugging. He goes on to say it could even be called delicious. You just feel good inside seeing Fuka's improvement, because all she's doing this for is to help others. I'll admit, it does get repetitive sometimes. The sixth social link is Fuka basically regurgitating all her previous hopes and worries to the hero, and the constant, slightly reworded remake she has about wanting to be better throughout the progression eventually has even Fuka herself realize how ad nauseum these comments are.
I I sure seem to talk about my problems a lot, huh?
That's to say nothing of her thanking the hero constantly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you for everything.
But for some reason, that repetition isn't as annoying as it would be from other characters.
Merci, arigato. Thank you.
Fuka genuinely seems to mean it every single time.
Fuka's link is always evolving. Like when you hear of her worried anxiety being so strong that it stops her from even defending herself after an accidental book heist results in gawkers posting it everywhere on social media. It's tough to go through life thinking all hope is lost before you even make a single attempt.
If I'd just spoken up, I could have settled it right there. I know that, but I still couldn't say anything back, no matter what I said. It wouldn't do any good in the end.
I know all about anxiety, so this story hit home for me.
Her message of simple belief is powerful too. We have no idea if change will work out, or if the future will be good or bad, but might as well go into it with optimism, since we could think about it all day, and never predict it with any more accuracy.
You have to think positively, and trust that the future will smile upon you. How are you able to tell yourself that things will work out in the end?
I know it's hard, but if you ever find yourself blinded by fear, just go for it. Worst case scenario, you fall on your face and you get back up again. Even the protagonist had some unimpressive moments that are canon in the main storyline. And make sure you find some good people in your life. People who don't keep score.
When you're friends, you don't keep score.
It is so important for each of us to find happiness, because
People who've never known happiness probably can't imagine themselves being happy in the future either.
Fuka's link represents what we will inevitably become if we choose not to challenge our own shortcomings, and as her ending shows, the rewards gained from the risks often are more than worthwhile. The fact that it ends with her embracing her machinery talent shows full acceptance of oneself in a discreet, humble way, matching her personality perfectly.
let's try and be like Fuka and build up our inner strength. Or, for a better example, Yuko's social link probably best represents the arcana it's linked to. Strength.
This girl isn't going to take crap, including the boys she manages. And if people give her toxicity, she's going to speak up about it.
You won't have time to go around sticking gum on people's shoe lockers.
She's so different from most of the other female characters. Just more wholesome, realistic, and relatable. She's not particularly strong in school, and while she still has anxieties, it's refreshingly just typical teenager ones, like frustration with teacher expectations. Like, come on, just let me live and be young! I enjoy how her role as coach expands to teaching elementary kids, which itself organically starts with a chance encounter from a neighborhood boy in the mall, and that draws you into the scrappy, youthful team building against the malevolent 6th graders. It's a very well-developed subplot, all within one social link. The way Yuko just effortlessly siegs into a sweet burn after enduring all this harassment from the ditzy high school girls, who you can almost see the jealousy emanating from, is impressive. Strength of character is Yuko's jam.
What's wrong? Did I say something to offend you?
Not at all.
Hey, let's just go already.
She's not perfect. She'll second-guess her own coaching methods, for example, but this is followed by a willingness to ask for help. Coaching's a brand new thing, and she knows she's in over her head. Soon, she gets more confident with motivational speeches.
Yeah! Guts! Spirit! You can do it. I know you can. Think positive, and don't give in to fear.
Her past school mediocrity gets brought up again as she's tasked with writing the challenge letter. And it's adorable how the kids constantly pester her with boyfriend remarks.
Coach and the boyfriend! Good luck with your boyfriend!
Yuko's not caring about the future vibe gradually shifts as you progress through, with the close-knit bond she notices between her and the protagonist, as well as the amazing payoff from helping the kids tie the race. She begins to naturally find her own path towards a possible training profession. I mean, she has it down to the exact classes and the amount of hours she'll need to put in. The inner strength she has is insane. Even if you choose to have the protagonist and her remain friends, she moves forward gracefully with some awesome advice, never missing a beat.
Sometimes you say suggestive things with a straight face, you know? I get the feeling you might give someone the wrong idea, so you should really be careful about that. It could land you in some hot water.
She's fully aware of her own strengths and shortcomings, on display when she mentions the prospect of having a kid of her own, and the difficulties that would entail. Yuko just seems more adult than many people her age, both game characters and in real life. In my opinion, Yuko's voice actor, Shelby Young, deserves a ton of credit for making this social link as strong as it is. She emotes so much nuance that ranges from indifference
We're not dating. He's just a friend from the team.
to sarcasm
What's wrong? Did I say something to offend you?
to genuine praise and enthusiasm.
Think positive. If you think you're gonna lose, you will. Don't be afraid of them just because they're 6th graders.
Embarrassment
Are you like this just with me? No, that can't be it, huh?
and vulnerability.
I want to be with you. Those are my true feelings, and I hope you feel the same.
Especially lumping her into the main cast, Yuko may not even be talked to by some players, so Shelby's commitment to the role boosts my opinion of her even more. An amazing social link and an amazing character. Adding even more to Yuko's accolades is that she is required to meet the number 4 ranking on this list.
Ignoring me? Well, I guess I can't expect much from a kid of your generation.
Yeah, my choice for the 4th highest social link in the whole game is an old, bald, alcoholic priest who chain smokes and runs away from his problems. Oh boy, I should probably take this into a better place. Don't worry, I'm building towards something here. Mutatsu is a delight. A crass, mean, hypocritical delight. The fact that he can impart so many life lessons, all the while being drunk and puffing cigars, it's an experience that's so unlike any of the other social links in the game. As the only elder figure, you'll witness even more harsh life realities than with Maya. It starts off innocently enough, as the protagonist actually has someone to ask about smoking and booze, and will get an honest answer. That's also the quickest way to progress the social link, by speaking your mind, which is unintuitive because, well, look at the contrast here.
No, just talk the talk, kid. Say what you mean and get straight to the point.
You're represented by a 16-year-old kid, and you're talking to a 60-year-old Buddhist priest. Who do you think is gonna have the high road when it comes to being able to speak what's on your mind? Like at this point, it would take quite the stones to respond to that question with none of your business.
Well said. No hesitation whatsoever.
Even if he's sauced, he appreciates you telling him to stop drinking and go home. Mutatsu is not beyond lecturing, telling the protagonist he could give him a
Swift kick in the ass.
and insisting using honorifics when addressing him. He'll pry, too. He criticizes that emo hairstyle, asks the protagonist directly what he'd buy, wonders why the guy doesn't have any friends. It's so sobering to think of what older adults come to know about life. Mutatsu takes a narcissist viewpoint into consideration, that relationships between humans can be 100% transactional, that if you don't get something from someone, it falls apart.
You don't call someone who doesn't like you your friend, do you? No, because you know you won't get nothing from him. Which means in this world, there's no one you can truly hold dear.
Even his lessons on money are pretty pessimistic, implying that anyone who wants this luxurious lifestyle will have to sacrifice precious time away from those they care about to get it. So it would be pointless anyway. He follows up by stating that living by oneself is the avenue to peace and serenity. It's like, how could someone so rich in life experience continue to just self-destruct and have their priorities backwards?
We find out as we go. Mutatsu's initial constant shunning of the hero plays into his deep-rooted past of always running away when things went poorly between his wife and son. He softens as you visit though, although he feebly tries to disregard his interest in the hero. This increases even more in the second half, where his constant vices have put his own work in jeopardy, and soon he's too blitzed to even remember that the protagonist isn't his own son.
Who the hell do you think raised you, huh?
You come to understand that this routine has been going on for 4 years since his family left him. That respect never completely fades though. Even as his struggles surface, he adheres to his job's honor, helping the protagonist with amazing life lessons like this one, about stress needing to be attacked at the root. And he shows genuine ambition to change his life's course, which, as we all find out, gets tougher the older you get.
I get drunk to avoid facing my problems. Oh yeah, I guess you could say I'm running away.
Besides all of these tidbits, Mutatsu is just funny.
Guess I can't expect much from a kid of your generation.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's gonna make a lot of people laugh. But I'm talking even when he's not inebriated. He has some really good lines like this.
Look at me, I'm old and ugly. My cheeks sag like a damn bulldog's.
The power of this social link is that it teaches the most life lessons out of any of them. Ironically, from a man who has never once followed his own advice.
The only part that doesn't jive well with me is his method of hiring a detective agency to find his estranged family. That just sends off a creepy vibe. And the fact that they magically reconcile after 4 years, in his condition especially, is a bit too optimistic for me to believe. But come on, he teaches you how to mix drinks at the end. That's pretty awesome. Just make sure you're 19 or 21 or whatever the age requirements are where you're located.
Cheers to Mutatsu! So, Maiko's adorable, which is obvious to anyone who's played the game. And she complements this with a pure heart and a self-sustaining work ethic. This link gets to the heart of the issues immediately too, which makes it very engaging.
Even during the first interaction, you get a sense that Maiko's home life isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Divorce is such an ugly deal, especially when kids are involved, and you know it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. Speaking of rides, this link takes you places like Wild Duck, which conjures up Maiko's memories of happier times, and Takoyaki time in the town center. And each of these sit-downs eventually brings to light more of Maiko's difficulties, with some very tough dialogue decisions that definitely impact how fast this link grows. I mean, would we really have the heart to make Maiko sad with the most realistic choice? Or does being optimistic about her dad remembering her birthday hurt her that much more if the parents fail to meet even basic expectations? It's heart-wrenching to hear a lot of this. She's so young, and her spirits can be lifted so high easily that you worry it could all come crashing down in a way that would make her unable to recover. It's not all tense and gloomy though, like the pleasant surprise when you find out both parents were all in for Maiko's birthday party, and you have to adore her initiative, not shying away from bluntly asking both parents what's wrong.
I know. I'll just ask them why. If I know why, I can fix it and make it all better.
But the darkest themes rear up midway through as you learn of an abusive incident that I'm shocked remains in the reload version, to be honest. This is so malignant. It's something that would realistically drive a child to actually run away from home, as Maiko attempts to do. And it's difficult to even continue the link at times after this chapter. But she's so no-nonsense about it, and so upbeat to put her plan into action, it makes you want to make sure everything turns out alright.
I need lots of snacks, right? And my insurance card?
And unlike other social links like Kaz and his nephew, or Kaisuke and his disagreements with his father, Maiko's parents actually show up after she runs off, putting the protagonist in a very unenviable position, wanting to help the parents, but also wanting to protect her even more. I couldn't imagine being caught in the middle like this. You even get a sense of what the everyday chaos of their home life must be like.
You always like this. Everything has to be my fault.
That's because it is your fault.
Even after the whole divorce thing is settled, there's even more difficult choices to make, like encouraging Maiko to choose either her mom or dad to live with. Damn, that's so messed up. A grade school kid having to go through this. But it's an unfortunate reality that is becoming more prevalent today than ever. Maiko's voice actor, Grace Liu, absolutely owns this role when she tears up thinking about not being able to play with the protagonist anymore.
And then I won't be able to play with you anymore! It's no fair! I miss you too much.
Her unbridled joy when she's having a carefree afternoon.
Hey, come on! Let's play on the jungle gym!
The genuine curiosity if she's done well.
It was sad. But I listened to the whole thing. Did I do good?
And the sadness seeping through, even as she tries to be brave, heading into an unknown future.
I'm moving far away. Dad told me I would always be his daughter. No matter how far away, we're still family.
And of course, that shy affection and admiration she displays at the end.
So, when I'm all grown up, can we get married?
Grace somehow runs the gamut of wild swings in kids' emotional states, and that makes this all the more endearing. Another bonus point in this social link's favor is that Maiko introduces Stripey, a fellow sojourner in this social link deep dive that, you'll notice, hasn't appeared in the rankings yet.
We'll see each other again, okay? I just know it.
If there was any justice, this premonition would have come to pass. Where is it? Where is the justice in this world? It is rare for a random NPC character to steal the limelight from a myriad of other romantic interests who spend a lot more time with the protagonist. But Chihiro somehow does this.
The growth she exhibits is remarkable. In the beginning, you think the protagonist is able to start a friendship with her immediately, but the lack of confidence and shyness completely overwhelms her to start with. You know firsthand this is going to be a slow ramp up. She tries to talk the hero out of the most harmless activity, like walking home from school, and subsequently won't even speak up after walking 2 miles in the wrong direction. She follows this up by apologizing profusely, despite the hero agreeing to go to the bookstore. But it's worth it. You see her gradually opening up and sharing snippets, which is all the more impressive when you consider her childhood trauma with a father who is apparently filled with rage-ahol, which in turn creates a real urgency to make this creep go away as Chihiro gets hit on, and that surprisingly starts the romantic feelings between her and the protagonist much earlier on than the other girls, as seen in Chapter 5, where she poorly attempts to mask her affections in a fake situation story.
And well, there's the boy who's been helping her a lot recently. Is she in love right now?
You have to respect Chihiro's old-fashioned approach toward romance, too. The appall and shock that registers when the flirty teens leave the library to make out is endearing.
Do they not know where they are? This is supposed to be a place of learning, and they're still just kids. So I say this, as a member of the student council, that kind of inappropriate behavior should not be tolerated at school. We should notify the student council president right away and discuss this at our next meeting.
And comes with some great dialogue choices that helps lead into a critical juncture where the protagonist has to decide how to confirm Chihiro's feelings in a way that she'll still feel comfortable with. Don't reverse this link! The right answer should be obvious, and you're just a jerk if you hurt this girl's feelings. The commentary just gets deeper. Realizing she's short on funds for a manga collection she desperately wants, Chihiro laments all the other things in life that up to this point she's felt she'll never be able to obtain. And even though the protagonist undoubtedly stays on her side when she's accused of stealing the student council money, this paints such a cynical picture of reality. Those more timid, weaker-looking individuals can get pinned blame on simply because they don't have the inner strength to stand up for themselves. Her family situation and looks even compound the suspicion. I'm very glad the hero gets a chance here to shut these gossip girls up. The best part is Chihiro's growing affection for the protagonist is what convinces her to finally overcome her timidness, directly defying both the intimidating Mitsuru.
No, I can't allow that.
Fushimi.
All I have to do is clear my name, right?
Directly confronting that teacher, which is the only weak part of this social link. It turns out the teacher just plumb forgot about the money, just as Chihiro said, and it's the most pathetic thing to witness.
Well, here we are now.
How could you?
Oh, God. There's no sudden twist or meticulous explanation. It really was this teacher idiot just being this dumb.
His rambling explanation is awful and doesn't make sense. He's supposed to be a professional. He knew he had the money there, and his excuse was that he just eventually forgot that he had all this student money at his house? Brutal. Still, you get this awesome moment of Chihiro's glee.
It's just...
Absolutely euphoric at how she just behaved. It's a wonderful moment. Speaking of those, like all female romantic interests, Chihiro says, "I love you," near the link's conclusion. But other characters didn't have a brute for a father, scarring her impression of men growing up. They didn't have her lack of self-confidence or timidness, and these girls naturally possessed either more assertive personalities or natural charms and outgoing empathy that would encourage them to profess their feelings.
But Chihiro saying it? There's more weight behind it. It represents her ability to overcome childhood wounds and celebrates a much more confident, dignified teenager who wants to acquire things for herself.
Oh, I'll be alright on my own.
And with number 2 done, it's time for the most anticlimactic number 1 ranking of all time. So, let's get it done before the sun sets on another day. Not all of us have much time to waste. When I create content, I don't usually do a whole bunch of homework beforehand and compare what I'm doing to what everyone else does. For example, I didn't research a whole bunch of Persona 3 rankings videos, but I'm guessing Akinari's is near the top, as it is here, if not in the same position. How could it be anyone else? This social link is basically 2 young men talking about the inevitable encroaching death that's about to claim them both. One of them just doesn't know it yet.
Death is omnipresent in Persona 3. In subtle and not so subtle ways, it rears its head as a melancholy dominant mood, saturating individual characters and eventually the whole world you're participating in. This social link examines the harshness of this without flinching or backing off.
Damn it. What did I do to deserve this body?
Unlike the melodrama that can overdo itself in other social links, and arguably even in the main story, the pain and emotion you experience here affects you in a genuine way.
Any day now, I'm going to die. I have an incurable hereditary disease.
Terminal illness is one of the most unfair circumstances anyone from any age or ethnicity might be unfortunate enough to encounter. It's one of the most harshest realities of human life.
As noted in the beginning, when Akinari compares the glow and life of Maiko to his withered husk of a body, Persona has always been astute in putting our own personality and psyche in control of the dialogue, and the vast majority of us would certainly have responded, "I can't," when Akinari asks us if we can understand how he feels.
I didn't think so.
How could we? I certainly can't. Many of us have had struggles emotionally, or maybe we've suffered some freak accident or injury, and those things are nothing to scoff at. But we recover. We find hope.
Akinari's struggle is finding that hope, that evidence to reassure him that his life does have purpose. I hope people can learn from this social link. We may know, or eventually get to know, someone in this situation. And if so, instead of offering transparent platitudes or feel sorries, let's get to know them, what their interests are, There's more to everyone besides the negative circumstances they may be born with, and everyone deserves a hell of a lot more than pity and curiosity.
Sorry to disappoint them, but I'm not the poor soul they think I am.
There's so many contrasting emotions as you seek through. Akinari's initial joy of finding someone who actually wants to get to know him fades when his illness and realities come to the forefront, sending him into self-pity, which then has him pleading for you to stick with him just a bit longer.
Please don't leave just yet. It's almost too much for me if I'm alone.
Akinari's stance on keeping books unfinished makes sense. If there's still something left to read, if it's not the last chapter, he can escape for a while longer. Instead of having to deal with the unfair deck of cards reality has given him, he simply hopes for another week of life. He literally hopes for another chance, as in singular chance, to talk to the protagonist. This puts into perspective just how many of us take our lives for granted. And when he begins his book, you have an inkling there's going to be something tragic amongst the hopeful message it initially gives off. And as depressing as it is to hear that the bird gets eaten by his own friend, the pink alligator, Akinari's using his own life as a point of reference here. He doesn't find it that depressing. Even the text messages he sends make you well up. He's desperately trying to accomplish all he can and speak to the one connection he's made before everything is lost.
Some people spend 100 years patiently trying to find the elusive meaning of life. Well, this kid's trying to do it in 19, ditching the medicine that would ease his physical symptoms just to keep his senses sharp in the hopes that he'll be able to come to his own answer to life's question. We have no idea how lucky we have it sometimes.
And as his ending suggests, we may not find that answer or meaning in our place on this earth. But what we've done, what we've left behind for others, it might matter a lot. It might help people or inspire people more than we know. Akinari was given one of the cruelest fates imaginable, yet he's still happy he was born. Would he have felt that way without this connection he made? How many people are out there, in our world, desperately searching, perhaps even silently, for one person to give them an indication that it was worth it, battling against every circumstance, telling him that it's not worth anything?
Why me?
I don't know how he's able to physically pass the notebook to the protagonist, because clearly the max level link is explored after his physical passing, but we don't question that. It's not important. Also, given the protagonist passes away soon after and was the last person to have the notebook, it's a minor miracle that Akinari's Pink Alligator book was published. It's referenced in Persona 4 by both Nanako and Kanji. They never knew, nor ever will know, who Akinari was or the pain that he suffered, but their lives were enriched by what he did.
Even though the alligator didn't find meaning in his life, the residents of the forest did. They just didn't realize it.
It's still small consolation, though. I can't imagine a child saying this to their parent.
I'm sorry to have brought so much pain into your life, Mother.
I'd like to think that this, I hope we meet again, did indeed happen after the story's conclusion. It would be most fitting.
Take care of each other. Take care of your most important people. Like his heartbroken mother advises us, it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Just make sure they're loved. Care for them and spread it over as much time as you can, because none of us know how much any of us have left. And if you don't have that person in your life, you don't give up. Make no mistake, your life has inherent worth just by being on this planet. But if you need more proof, you go and find this person. Search for and look for them like Akinari did. Have strength and faith that you will do it. Because life's too short. And remember always, if you love someone, let them know it.
I'm sure you have something precious you can share with people too. Don't ever forget it.
Thank you, gamers, for joining me on this social link journey. I love video games because of stories like these, ones that investigate the highs and lows of humanity and everything in between. If you enjoyed this ride, please like and subscribe for more in-depth video game and RPG content right here at Gaming Introspection, including some more Persona videos that explore even more of this series. Thank you very much for watching, and take care of yourselves, gamers. It is always good to see ya.